Okay, so we're gonna pick back up on chapter 10, compound interest and inflation. We did compound interest last week. So we're gonna do chapter 10, section 2 and section 3 today and wrap that up. And then we'll move on to chapter 11. I will record it as 2 separate videos. All right, so interest-bearing bank accounts and inflation. We're going to talk about savings, other interest-bearing accounts, interest compounded daily. We'll define time deposit accounts, inflation, consumer price index. We'll examine the effect of inflation on spendable income and understand the role of government related to inflation. Okay. Saving accounts, money market accounts, and other interest-bearing accounts can be a safe place to deposit money. Again, remember that this is typically stuff that you're going to deal with more once you have like a significant amount of money that you can play around with. Most of us at this stage we're at, most people at the stage that are me should be able to do this. I cannot. Um, Younger people, it's kind of like a hit or miss. It depends on what they go into and kind of what kind of money they come from previously. It's commonly insured by the FDIC up to $250,000. Many require a minimum balance. That's where we're talking about where you need that set amount of money coming in at. Interest varies from less than 1% to more than 5% per year. And interest is often compounded daily. I'll give you guys a weird example. So even though it's my checking account, for some reason I got 6 cents randomly for interest. But I only see that when my checking is at 5,000 or more. So I don't know why it does it. It definitely doesn't do it for my savings. It's like 3 cents in my savings. So I don't know what the big difference is or why it's doing it. But obviously 6 cents and 3 cents a month isn't really getting me too far. All right, Truth in Savings Act of 1991, Regulation DD, don't know what that is. Interest must be based on exact number of days. Guess we could look up what that means at some point. Interest-bearing checking accounts often require a minimum balance. I don't know why this thing keeps telling you stuff repeatedly. And you can write checks out of the account because it's a checking account. And in case you weren't aware, they often require a minimum balance. If the balance falls too low, a fee can be charged. That does happen. And again, you can write checks on the account. Maximizes amount of interest by leaving money in an interest paying account as long as possible. So this is how we find interest compounded daily. We're going to use a formula which you should have seen before. So maturity equals 1 plus I raised to the n, the whole thing. 1 plus I, whole thing raised to the n. Interest accrued every day credited to an account once per quarter or once per month. Annual interest rate divided by 365 days. Tedious calculations, so use a table. And the compound amount is equal to the principal times the number from the table equals, and the interest is equal to the compound amount minus the principal. I'll let you guys have a minute to write that down if you need to. Okay. This is what the table looks like. It's values of 1 plus I raised to the n for 3.5% compounded daily. So here you can see all the numbers possible. The note at the bottom is on the table as well for you. It does say that for any amount with a quarter with 91 days to use that number, and for a quarter with 92 days to use the other number. These are, you'll only ever see it like this because we do work in quarters, so you won't see one for like 365 days. Be way too long. All right, let's look at an example. Becky Gonzalez receives $12,500 from a divorce settlement. She plans to use the money for a down payment on a new Toyota Camry, but decides to wait 60 days until the new models are out. She puts her money in a savings account, earning 3.5% interest compounded daily for 60 days. Find the amount of interest she will earn. So you go into the table, you go to 60 days, you find the value from the table. Now, you could have figured this out by yourself, but it's just, why do that whenever you can literally find it in a table? All right, whatever. Anyway, that's the number you want to use. You multiply it, so then you would take the difference. So she's getting like $72.12 interest. There you go. The additional $72.12 isn't much money to Gonzalez, but she is happy to earn some interest. Obviously, if she would have been able to leave it in a little bit longer, she would have seen more of a return, but then she wouldn't have the vehicle when she wanted it. And that's a really good amount to put down. All right, here's another one. Let's just pull the items out that you need. She opened a money market account on July 20th with 24,800 deposit. She then withdrew 3,800 on August 29th for an unexpected truck repair. And she made another withdrawal of 8,200 on September 29th for payroll. Find the interest earned through October 1st, given the interest is 3.5% compounded daily. So, of the original, you had to figure out how much she had remaining. And that was the total that was left in until October 1st. She then found the number from the table, multiplied it, found her interest to be $89.91. So then she had to go through and figure out the amounts and the days for the parts that were withdrawn. So for the first one, on July 20th, she found that it was in there for 40 days, found the number from the table, and then found an interest of $14.60. And then for the next withdrawal, she figured that was 71 days, took that amount, found an interest of $56.02. And then to finish it out, she will add all of the interest up together. You will have to do this in the Pearson. It does ask you. So another nice idea is you could sit there and do it with a table. They also kind of have you do this in the Pearson as well. Any questions on that example type? Because you will have to do it if you haven't done it on already. No? Okay. Define the time deposit accounts. Time deposits are banks pay higher interest rates on funds left on deposit for longer periods of time. That makes sense. Certificate of deposit, this is often called a CD, requires a minimum amount of money and minimum period of time. Following table assumes daily compounding. Again, we have another table. You'll be able to use this for your homework. So we're given the following example. Tony plans to purchase 3 machines for his auto repair. The bank requires $20,000 in collateral before making the loan. So Tony deposits $20,000 with the bank in a 2-year CD yielding 2% compounded daily. Find the compound amount and interest. So you look at the table, you find 2% in 2 years, and then you get this number from the table. Then you take $20,000 times the amount from the table, and you find that he'll have an interest of $816.19. Again, if he would have put more money in, he would have gotten more money out. Or put it in for longer than 2 years. Well, both of those would lead to more time, more money out. Inflation results in a continual rise in the price of goods and services. A dollar is worth less each year. Have to earn more money each year to buy the same goods and services. So, like, a really good example of this right now, come on, okay, would be, I don't know how many of you like biking. We love biking, so that's what we do the majority of our time. And we both want to buy new bikes, but we probably won't be able to because the bikes right now, the price has gone out the window. So a bike you could have gotten before COVID, for like maybe, I don't know, $300 is now anywhere from $650 to $1,000. And then the bikes that were $1,000 are now like anywhere from 2,500 to $3,000. It's just ridiculous. All right. Consumer Price Index, or CPI, also known as the Cost of Living Index, is used to track inflation. It's calculated by the government, measures the average change in prices from one year to the next for common groups of goods and services. So food, housing, fuel, utilities, apparel, transportation, insurance, healthcare, and sometimes pet care. So basically, when people tell you, oh, you better be careful if you're planning to move, to wherever, the cost of living is a lot higher. But that's typically when that happens, then your salaries end up being higher because people have to survive. Okay. All right. College cost. It's just an average. It's a rough estimate. You guys are working towards part of your goal at a community college are going to save more money than if you were at a 4-year school. Okay. Examine the effect of inflation on spendable income. Inflation reduces buying power. Okay. Let's look at this example, which I think is the last one. Should be pretty close. Inflation from 1 year to the next was 3% as measured by the CPI. Find the effect of the increase on a family with an after-tax annual income and budget of $39,600 after taxes. What is the overall effect if the family members receive only 1% after tax increase in pay for the year? So this is a percent problem. The cost of the goods and services that this family buys went up by 3% as measured by the CPI. So first thing you have to do is figure out what that 3% would be, and then you add it on to what they were living on. So therefore, the next year for these same goods and services will cost the family $40,788. Okay. The family's income went up 1% after taxes, or $396. So they're basically going to be short $792 in purchasing power. All right. I don't remember a question like that on Pearson, but maybe it was on there and I just focused on the numbers. Okay. Deflation is the opposite of inflation. Decrease in price of goods and services. Rare but potentially serious. Great Depression of 1930s. Prices fell in deflationary spiral. People waited to buy more cheaply. Demand fell. Sales plummeted. People got laid off. So it led to more unemployment, more fear, and a vicious cycle. More likely than not, we will end up in another depression if you don't believe we're already currently in one. Okay. Role of government and inflation. Uses tools such as interest rates to control inflation. Hot economy, inflation too high, so the government increases interest rates, slows lending and growth. A slow economy, threat of deflation, so government decreases interest rates, encouraging borrowing and business activity, which that's basically where we're at right now. Controlling inflation and deflation is very difficult to do, but it is an important issue for leaders of every country. All right, that is it. Okay, so 10.3, this is a short section. Present value and future value. We're going to define the terms of future value and present value, calculate present value, and use future and present value to estimate the value of a business. Future value is the amount available at a specific time in the future, amount available after an investment has earned interest. Present value is the amount needed today, so the desired amount will be available when needed. So basically, sometimes when you figure this out, you kind of want to have a goal in mind. You know, like let's say you want to buy a house in 5 years. If you want so much money to put down, you have to figure out how much money you need to put in the bank today under what, criterias to get the future value that you want. Present value, often abbreviated as PV, is equal to future value times the table value. So again, you're dealing with a table. These chapters are extremely table heavy. I highly recommend printing them out. That's what I did. Okay. Example 2, the local Harley Davidson shop has seen business grow rapidly. The owners plan to remodel the shop in 1 year at a cost of $280,000. How much should be invested in an investment earning 6% compounded semi-annually to have the funds needed? So the interest rate per compounding period is 6%, divided by 2 is 3%, and the number of compounding period is 2. So when you use the table, you get that number out, present value. You would need 263,928. The difference between that and the desired is due to rounding. Okay. Okay, another example. So this company wishes to partner with a Korean company to purchase a satellite in 3 years. The plans to make a cash down payment of 40% of its anticipated $8 million cost and borrow the remaining funds from the bank. Find the amount that the company should invest today in an account earning 6% compounded annually to have the down payment needed in 3 years. So first you have to figure out the down payment. So out of the 8 million, they're going to put down 3,200,000. Boy, isn't it nice to be that wealthy. So you come in here, you're going to find 6% and 3 periods. There you go. All right, so your present value will be the down payment times the number from the table, so you get that. So there you go. Questions on that kind of problem? They're pretty straightforward. Just know how to use the tables. All right. Use future value and present value to estimate the value of a business. Business with strong growth opportunity valued at more than if normal growth. Estimate future value of business in 2 to 5 years. Find the present value of this amount using appropriate discount rate. Anna, did you want that to write notes on, or are you good?
I'm good.
Okay, cool. All right, I think this is the last example for this section. Brianna McGruder and Tanya Zoban own Extreme Sports Inc., whose value is $120,000 today, assuming normal growth. However, the partners believe the value will grow at 15% per year for the next 4 years. They want to take this rapid growth into consideration when valuing the business for a potential sale. A, find the future value of the business in 4 years. B, estimate the value of the retail store by finding the present value of the amount found in Part A at 6% compounded quarterly. Okay, so there is no 15% column in the table, so you use the formula with 15% in 4 years. So sometimes you do have to use the formula. It's just when you can use the table, you might as well use it. I think most of Pearson has you using the table. Okay. Find the present value, assuming 6% compounded quarterly for 4 years. You're going to get 165,393 rounded. Okay. Again, anything in bold there they got from a table. Okay. Thus, the partners should ask for 165,400 for their business. The rapid growth rate adds 45,400 to the value of the business. Okay.